What's up, y'all? I'm Remington, and I'm here with
Gerard George, and we're the host of Good Ground.
So Gerard, this is our first episode of Good Ground. We're at Bad Vine Wine and Spirits in Bed-Stuy. How are you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling really great. It's a nice day outside. Happy to be here. I'm gonna hang out with my kids later.
Cool.
Yeah, so today's not just about us, right? We have a special guest in the house. It's Cory, everybody. Yes, he's a Philly born and raised, Brooklyn-based DJ, and he's gonna kick it with us. We're gonna teach him how to properly pot a plant.
Cory, what's up, man? How you been?
What's happening, y'all?
So Cory?
Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, man, I see you rolled in with the Jown 990s on, man.
I mean, look, man, you know, it's the first episode, and it's an honor to be here. Thank y'all for having me. You know, I had to come correct. You know what I'm saying? You know, I know two stylish brothers like yourself. You know, you got a pair of my grills on with the Tom Saxes, so you know, I had to represent.
Cool, man. Yeah, I didn't get the memo. Both of you guys wearing New Balances, him with the 550s from Ame. Look, man, I think we all just had to pull up with something today,
We
right?
looking good, man. We three very stylish brothers.
Yeah. So Cory, I've been following your Instagram for a little minute, man. I have to say, man, you have a pretty dope style. What would you say inspires your style, or?
Man, so first off, as I've realized as I've gotten older, is comfort, and not necessarily just dressing comfortable, but just comfortable with myself. Like, you know, obviously I'm a bigger guy. You know, I like to make sure that, you know, of course I look good, but just comfortable in the things that I'm wearing and stuff like that. And you know, it doesn't help when you work. It doesn't hurt that when you work for yourself, you know, you kind of can just do what you want. So I mean, you know, I'm big into like staples pieces, especially as of late. You know, things that I can buy, items I can buy that last me a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not into fast fashion.
Right.
But you know, just items that, you know, I can wear for a long time. Items that last, that are timeless, that can go from season to season and, you know, trend to trend and stuff like that.
Yeah, I saw that you have a pretty solid like vintage tee collection.
Yo, so that'd be the hardest thing. I mean, I will say living in New York definitely helps.
Yeah.
You know, obviously from, you know, just going to different thrift stores and stuff like that. Like I have a couple homies who are thrifters. I'm not a thrifter. I don't have the patience just going scour and stuff like that. But obviously, you know, different websites like Depop.
Yeah.
Grailed, you know, just being able to go and actually set the parameters of what you're looking for and stuff like that is makes it a lot easier to buy a lot of stuff. Like I got this recently, you know, just I was like, you know, I want some fleece.
Yeah.
You know, vintage nautical joint. I remember my mom might have had me in this back in like 96.
Definitely.
So, you know, I mean, just stuff like that, man. Just kind of playing back to the things that I used to, you know, used to love, you know, back in like the 2000s and 90s and stuff like that, and just, you know, just being comfortable with it.
Would you say your pops got you into sneakers? I mean, him being Jazzy Jeff, I mean, I'm pretty sure.
You know, it's funny, we were talking earlier, you know, it's really good that people have been talking to him, you know, just about like his, you know, his things other than him being the funny guy on Fresh Prince or him being a world-class DJ. Like, my dad has been in the sneakers since I've been born.
Right.
You know, I was a size 9 for maybe about 6 months.
Okay.
He's a size 9, so like I was able to fit his shoes for half a year, and then all of a sudden I shot to like a 10 and a half. So I didn't get a chance to take advantage of that. My little brother Amir is actually, I think he's a 9 and a half, so he can
take advantage of that.
He can reap the spoils, man.
Yeah.
Right. But nah, man, you know, just from, you know, my dad is a, you know, OG Philly dude, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, for us, like Jordans, for us, Air Forces, Timbs, you know, New Yorkers call them Butters, you know, New Yorkers call them Constructs and stuff like that. You know, growing up in Philly, you know, it's probably a huge inspiration of my style, you know what I'm saying? You know, and having a bunch of, you know, older guys from Philly, like call my old heads, that kind of inspired me. My pops definitely being one of them. You know, he's a huge Air Max guy. You know what I'm saying? So like all the 95s, all the 90s, all the 98s, you know, I remember like the Silver Bullets back in the day, you know, people thought they were different, futuristic, but like, you know, Pops had them joints.
Right.
Do you have a prize sneaker?
Do I have a prize sneaker? Man, I think my prize sneaker of all time would probably be a varsity red Jordan 6. I think that is kind of like the pinnacle of what I consider like a priceless shoe.
Right.
You know, which is, I remember like in the 2010, 2011, 2012 when Kanye really kind of brought them back.
Yeah.
Specifically varsity red though. Like, I mean, infrared's cool, but I'm a varsity red guy in that way. That might be like my pinnacle shoe. More on the leisure end, clearly I've been into New Balances over the last couple of years. New Balance is a very Philly brand. Like, I remember being a kid and wearing, 574s, like with like my school uniform all the time. So, New Balance has, always kind of been around, but yeah, probably a Jordan 6.
I mean, growing up in that era, I mean, you definitely grew up in the era of Allen Iverson.
For sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, like, how did that play a part? I mean,
AI was our Jordan. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have braids back then because my school had a restriction against boys wearing their hair out and stuff like that. But nah, man, everybody had braids. Everybody, drew tattoos on themselves. Yeah. Everybody wanted to have a shooting sleeve. The question, is our Jordan 1. You know what I'm saying? Like, just in the sense of historical significance, everybody had them. And, a guy, you learn more now with him being from Virginia and, the 757 area and stuff like that. He was such a Philly athlete that, he embodied us. He embodied, Philly is a very blue collar city. We're a city that works hard and we don't take no stuff from nobody. And he kind of came and really lived that. Yeah.
Cool, man. I mean, when I think about Philly, I mean, me and my girlfriend, we went to Philly a while back. And
how was it?
I enjoyed it. We went to like the Mitchell and Ness store. I think it was like downtown.
For sure, those are the homies,
Cop some shorts. But, everybody was talking about going to get a cheesesteak.
For sure.
Can't say I was sold.
All right.
Can't say I was sold.
It's been a lot of positivity this entire day.
But, like where we went, it's like...
Where did you go?
I don't know the name of it, but it was like two different little spots across the street from each other.
Okay.
And we went to one. Like we went to one and it was just, maybe it was just me.
So
everybody else enjoyed it.
I don't blame you.
Right.
I blame whoever put y'all onto that idea. Those two establishments I will not name, but they are more of our touristy.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
110%.
Because he put like mad ketchup and all this stuff on it.
I mean, it's not. So I'll say this: the cheesesteak is a staple for sure in Philadelphia, right? I'll be the first person to tell you that your local corner store might have some of the best cheesesteaks that you could ever have. Okay. There are two establishments that I would recommend, and I recommend them based on how someone who's not from Philly is moving in Philly. If you're going to be downtown, not really doing too much, moving around and stuff like that, Ishka Bibbles is probably the one that I would suggest for you. It's on South Street. Okay. They've actually opened two locations. Ishka Bibbles cheesesteaks are top notch. Okay. I will also recommend you get a gremlin. It's a drink. I'm not even going to describe what the gremlin is.
Gremlin.
I just say you get, gremlin is top class. But if you are moving around, if you're driving around, if you do want to kind of venture and stuff like that, Delisandro's. It's in our uptown section of the city, kind of considered Mount Airy. It's about maybe a 15, 20-minute drive from downtown if you guys are moving around. Really, really good. Like, that might be like the best cheesesteak that I stamp on. Okay. And stuff like that. So yeah, those two just ain't.
So I just
they not it. Somebody put you wrong.
Yeah, man. So I guess let's dive into music.
Sure.
I'm really interested. Knowing that you're from Philly and you live in Brooklyn now. So what inspired you to really get into being a DJ?
It's obviously with DJing is a family business. With my dad being Jazzy Jeff. So just growing up and stuff like that. I was born. Just as him and Will were, starting to rise and ascend in their career. So DJing and music has always kind of been, around me and has been in my life. It's been a huge factor in my life. Even with my mom's, my mom was a rapper, funny enough. So before she became a school teacher, she rapped. So, music was always playing in my house. I was definitely grew up in a place where, Saturday mornings, once you hear the Tina Marie, you already know it's time to start with, cleaning and stuff like that. But my folks, always kept, many different genres of music of playing around me. Obviously hip hop, R&B, was called, oldies or classics and stuff. But, my dad was really big in like bossa nova, house music. like I said, my mom was, into all sorts of like alternative R&B and stuff like that. So, kind of growing up in the 90s and the 2000s was really important, of just learning different types and different genres of music and stuff.
Right.
And then, for me, I'm fairly new in DJing. I've only been DJing for about 3 years now.
Oh, wow.
So, I taught myself, and in teaching myself, I just kind of wanted to focus on, music and genres of music that, I really knew and understood. So I'm a diehard Neptunes fan. So like, Pharrell and Chad are some of like my favorite musicians in the world. So I really taught myself how to DJ from, like just using their catalog and just the different songs I've learned and I've known since I was a kid. Right. And just kind of go from there.
I noticed that you just did an event with
yeah, so I had a chance to DJ the I Know Nigo album, the
huge.
pop-up shop.
Yeah.
It was really, really cool. It was really crazy. Obviously Nigo, came, Pharrell came, Pusha T was there. It was really, really dope. It was the first time that, I've had a chance to kind of meet and, talk to Pharrell before, but it was the first time that, I had a chance to DJ, for them. And, for me, man, it was really dope just kind of, digging in the crates, playing stuff that, I didn't even realize they probably haven't heard that they've made for years.
Right.
So, just playing a lot of deep cuts, playing a lot of records that, just were really, key figures of my life. Mm-hmm. To see their reactions, like, man, I haven't heard this in years and stuff like that. They was kind of like freaking out.
Yeah.
So it was really, really cool.
Yeah, you had some pretty good photos. I mean, I'm gonna call it now. That was an iconic photo. With the praying hands right in front of you in the DJ booth.
Shout out to my man Jocko and Bajan. They were there taking pictures. They captured a lot of the stuff, and it was a surreal moment for sure. Like, Pharrell is somebody that, like I said, if my dad is 1A as far as musical inspirations, Pharrell's probably 1B.
Okay.
So to kind of get that type of, response and praise from somebody that I've looked up to for so long is really, really cool.
Yeah.
With you being in the genre right now, really, who's your Mount Rushmore for DJs?
Okay. That was not prepped in the questions. Mount Rushmore of DJs. Jazzy Jeff, first and foremost. Jazzy Jeff is the greatest DJ alive, and I would say that without bias.
Agreed.
Man, oh my goodness. This is hard. Jazzy Jeff, I would have to say Grandmaster Flash. I guess I'm choosing 4, right? Mm-hmm. Jazzy Jeff, Grandmaster Flash. I would say Kid Capri. And specifically for like radio and the impact of radio with DJs, I would say probably Funkmaster Flex.
Okay.
If I had to think of like, I give me more time to think of like who I would kind of, figure. But if I just had to think about just like what DJs have done over the course of the last 40, 50 years, and like the impact that they've had on them, I'll probably say those 4.
Yeah.
That might change. So if you ask me tomorrow, it might be different. But that's why I'm standing on today.
No, it's all good. Yeah. Some of my favorite DJs are like Kool Herc. Really started the game.
For sure.
But recently, DJ Premier.
I was gonna say Primo. I was just like, do I want to say Primo? You know what, man? Okay, let me swap out Funkmaster Flex, and I'll definitely put Primo in there for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
For sure.
Primo, Little John.
Like Little John. Yeah. See, so DJing is such a. It's such a vast topic, such a beautiful topic, just because you have different DJs who do different things. Mm-hmm. You have the art of turntablism. Mm-hmm. You have the art of actually kind of like, not all turntablists are, great selectors, and not all selectors are great turntablists. And then you have that group that are just perfect at both, and which is very rare. So, Mount Rushmore it might not be 4, it might have to be 8, 10, 12. But I mean, that was one of kind of the biggest things for me in getting into DJing, was that, obviously, there was probably a little bit of a self-imposed pressure, with my dad being who he is to kind of just be the man at like everything. But just understanding that, like I said, I'm only 3 years in and I'm still learning, I'm still growing, with my talents and stuff like that, that, there's many different ways to get it, as he will always tell me. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about DJing and that's one of the things that I think is really dope when people start to DJ now. You know, I think that, you know, the world, I always say everyone is a DJ. You two are DJs because at the end of the day, we all hear music very differently. You know, I hear music different from how you hear it. You hear music how you hear it. Like, we all hear music very differently. And because of that, put someone in front of the tables, and once they kind of get the actual mechanics, we all can play music very differently. So I think everybody in the world is a DJ in that way.
Man, I'm really thankful to hear about that journey.
Sure.
Please tell us, like, you have any cool projects coming up? Anything that you can share?
So we are embarking on the summer. You know, for those who don't know, the summer in New York City is probably the best time and one of the best places to be. You know, my main focus is, you know, just trying to figure out, you know, how to, you know, further, you know, enhance my community out here, you know, with different events. I do have plans to kind of take some of my events on the road.
Right.
You know, I threw a party that was an all Neptunes music-based party called Yes Sir that I'm looking to take to different cities this summer, hopefully.
Oh, okay.
You know, music festival season's coming up, so hopefully, you know, I can get on, you know, some of these bills and stuff like that and be involved. But, you know, I'm just looking forward to a great summer that kind of restores the feeling of what we had, you know, from, you know, years ago, right? You know, everybody's, you know, comfortable and safe and, you know, being able to be outside and enjoying being outside. So I'm just looking forward to be a part of that.
What made you start DJing professionally? It's one thing to DJ house parties and for your friends, and it's another thing to, like, travel worldwide.
I mean, so I kind of stumbled upon it, really. You know, I moved to New York, you know, in advertising. I was a copywriter. And for like the first, I say maybe 5-6 years, I was just in between, you know, the agency world and entertainment, media, stuff like that. Frankly, man, I had a stretch of just like bad job experiences. And I was kind of tired of it. So during, you know, there was a point in time where I was looking for work. And, you know, DJing, like I said, you know, DJing has been around all my life. My father, nobody ever, like, pressured me to do it. But it was something that I was just like, maybe one day I'll do it.
Right.
And, you know, I remember at the top of 2019, you know, I kind of just felt like, you know, I think DJing would be something fun for me to do. I looked at it as almost like a hobby. Like, I'll just DJ on the side, learn how to do it, you know, play for the homies sometimes, whatever. So for the first 3 months of 2019, I would practice an hour a day, you know, just kind of learning the equipment that I had. My dad gave me a DJ controller. After, you know, when I told him I wanted to DJ, I was scared to have that conversation. And
what was that like?
I mean, so for me, you know, I was at his house and we were talking and I was like, what would you say if I told you I want to learn how to DJ? And he was like, I would say it'd be great. He's like, is that something you want to do? And I was like, yeah. He was like, you sure? And I was like, yeah. Like, it was kind of like a moment like, am I about to be inducted into something? Like, what's about to happen here? And he was like, I'll be right back. And he left the room and went into the studio, came back with a full DJ controller already in the box, and was like, give me your computer, I'll give you Serato, which is like the main software that we use. And put it on my computer, and didn't do anything else. Didn't teach me anything. He was just like, yo, learn this, learn it.
Right.
So for me, you know, I just wanted to, you know, I was testing it out. You know, I would literally, you know, plug my equipment up all the time. And for an hour a day, just practice, you know, practice pressing buttons, practice moving things. Because I think with DJing, people are so intimidated by the fact if you touch something, something happens. There's a reaction.
Right.
You move the record,
you know,
the record,
it's
and it's like, it's just so much. So,
spaceship.
You know, for me, it was literally getting comfortable with the equipment. You know, like I said, I for me, like the first two, I guess, genres of music almost I learned how to DJ on was music from the Neptunes and Afrobeat music. A friend of mine was putting me on to different Afrobeat music, you know, that was popular, you know, specifically in Nigeria. That's putting me on different popular music over there. So he was just giving me new records and stuff like that. And I would, you know, I have no idea what is being said in the records, but I just feel the records. Right. So just learning the beats and you know, learning how to match them and transition and stuff like that. So for 3 months, I practiced every day. Ironically, on my birthday in April, a friend of mine was like, hey, do you want to DJ outside? And I was like, yeah, that was kind of a birthday gift to myself. And I've been doing it ever since. And playing music for people is a very unique experience. You know, You know, it's probably some ego in it. You know, the fact that you know that you're controlling literally someone's time. But to see people's faces react to music that you play is like, it's some out of word stuff. And the more I did it, you know, the more I grew, like I fell in love hard with DJing. And then it got to a point where, you know, I decided where I was just like, you know, I could either A, continue to look for a job, which is a job in itself, and go through the rigors of all that has to do, or I can double down on myself and have this be my job and truly enjoy what it is that I'm doing.
Right.
And once I made the decision, man, I haven't looked back. You know, it's been 3 years. You know, I'm lucky to say that I'm DJ 24/7. You know, DJing allows me to be here with you guys, to, you know, to do this and stuff. And it has taken me around the world. You know, I started DJing in January of 2019. By December of 2019, I was DJing in Nigeria, which was a crazy full circle moment for me, like I said, just because that was one of the first genres of music that I really taught myself how to DJ. Yeah.
Have you been to Nigeria before
First time. It was so beautiful. You know, a friend of mine, Uzo, he's from Philadelphia, but he's Nigerian. You know, he's connected to his family there.
Okay.
They welcomed us, you know, with open arms. It was a group trip, so a bunch of friends went. It was during what's called Dirty December. So like, you know, everybody kind of comes from the States and from Europe, you know, comes back to Nigeria and stuff. So it was parties all week, and I've never partied like that in my life.
Right.
But it was beautiful, man. It was, you know, just as a Black American, to go to, you know, Nigeria and to go to the place that, you know, even if I don't know if I'm from there, it felt like home. You know, just seeing people that looked like me, you know, everywhere. You know, and it was a beautiful experience. It was pretty surreal. And it's something that I suggest, you know, hopefully everybody can have a chance to do.
Well, look, man, we've been talking about a lot of growth in your career.
For sure.
I think it's only right there for us to talk about plants.
Please.
So,
I'm in need. I need help.
So tell us, man, what type of plants do you have in your home?
All right. So I have a ZZ plant. Her name's Joan. You know, I love Joan. Aside from Joan, you know, she's a staple in my house. You know, I definitely go the Trader Joe's route. You know, pick up some bouquets here and there. My mom's favorite plant was tulips, and I find that, you know, like tulips is like something that I kind of always liked, even though before I got to the point of having plants in the crib. I'm into sunflowers, you know, just stuff that, you know, plants that and flowers that kind of bring some color and pop, you know, to my house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's definitely something that I've been a lot more focused on, you know, since the pandemics, you know, since us being in the house all the time, like really caring for my space. And I realized that plants is a great way to do that.
Yeah, cool. So today we will be repotting in the Black Raven ZZ.
Okay.
So it's a little different than the one you have. Same plant,
Yep.
same concept, same everything.
I'm with it. Let's do it.
So that's what we have for you today.
Let's do it.
All right.
I'm excited.
So Cory, today we're gonna show you how to properly pot a ZZ plant.
Okay. I'm excited.
The ZZ plant is actually out of Africa.
Really? I
yeah.
didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and cool thing about it is that it's a low light plant, and you only have to water about once every 2 weeks at best.
The most? Okay.
Yeah.
See, so with my ZZ Joan, as she shall be referred to, I always thought it was 1 week. So now that I know it's 2 weeks, I know how to kind of like, I'll space it out more.
And you can kind of gauge it, man. I mean, with these, you don't want the soil to be too moist. So I would say maybe 1 or 2 inches down once it's nice and dry. Okay. Then you can water it.
Be straight. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we should just jump right in.
Yeah, listen, direct me. I'm new at this.
You can look all over social media. Everyone has their way of potting properly. This is the good ground way.
I like that.
Okay.
I like that. I am a student of good ground from now on.
Yeah, so whoever in the comments telling us we're doing it wrong, this is how we do it.
There ain't no problem.
All right, so first of all, let's go ahead and pull him out of the nursery pot.
Sideways a little bit. Yep.
Yeah, so turn it sideways.
So
it might be already a little loose.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're just gonna pull it right out. All right, once we do that, you're gonna lift it up, and you see all these roots. Gerard, what were you talking about earlier about the rhizomes and?
Yep, so the rhizomes, that's really where it stores the water in the plant. So like when you're watering the plant, like he suggested, you want it to dry out completely.
Okay.
So those 1 to 2 inches that you go in is really your feeling here to see if water's even still moist. And
what do the rhizomes look like?
You're looking at them right here.
Oh, okay. My bad.
No.
Okay.
That's fine. You can actually touch them a little bit, open it up. There you go, delicately, and turn it, right? And then once you have the roots down a little bit, you plop it right into your pot.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we getting to it. We getting to the muscle.
Yeah, so you want to make sure you have a little soil already at the bottom, which you already do.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to say, should I add that?
And once we get that in there, let me catch up to you guys.
Okay, cool.
And now we're just going to start adding soil.
Okay.
Right? So we're going to make sure it's nice down there, packed in pretty tight.
Okay.
Don't mind digging in.
Yeah. So go ahead and dig in.
So what's the difference between good soil and bad soil? Like, what is that?
I'll let you answer that one, John.
So a good soil, it just really has, there isn't, I guess bad soil isn't a thing. Your good soil is the nutrients are in the soil.
Okay.
It has, sometimes it's called guano, which is like bat poop.
Yep.
Right.
I've seen Ace Ventura.
Castings, which are from worms,
Okay.
right? What they secrete after they eat.
Okay.
The nutrients and proteins are really good for plants.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what's in here, and some of the good old soil from the ground.
So like, could I take soil from, let's say, my backyard or something like that, and do something to one like this, or is something more specialized?
It needs to be, it's a little more specialized.
Okay.
You'll run into different things like slate in the ground. The nutrients aren't necessarily curated for the plant.
Got you.
Specifically. This is potting mixed soil.
Got you.
So it's just loose enough and firm enough so that the water can flow through.
Okay.
If you just pick the soil from the backyard, you
don't know what
don't know what's in there.
And I mean, this is stuff that I can get from any like plant store.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Okay.
You can always visit Plant Next Door.
Okay.
You'll see how to care for plants on our website.
Yep.
And you always have us.
Listen,
Absolutely.
man, don't tell me that.
I will phone a friend fast.
But yeah, like how you're doing. I like to like pat it down, then spin it.
Okay.
Just spin it around. So you don't want to have it too high, because then when you water, the water will overflow.
Water flow. So should I dump some?
No, that's enough.
Okay.
You're just really gonna
Pat it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because
So
those
how-
bulbs
so-
are gonna be there.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm one of them type people that I kind of get scared. Like, I was always scared to do this, first off. So the fact that I'm doing this right now,
Yeah.
like, thank y'all for teaching me. But I do get nervous of actually touching, like, when I take care of my
Right.
plants and stuff like that, like actually touching stuff, because I don't want to be too heavy-handed, knock something over, stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
what advice?
I'd say look at it like you just said, like about DJing.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to touch the right.
That was hard.
That was hard. Trial and error, man. You got to try. You got to get your hands in there and get dirty.
Yeah.
And the plant will tell you, exactly what it needs. Just got to pay attention to it.
So with a ZZ, what should I look for to say that, like, oh, it needs more water, it has too much? Like, how would this plant talk to me?
Okay, yeah. Like so, for instance, this plant.
Your joint shining like
Yeah.
she got some
She's
length
ready
to
to
her.
go. She's ready to go. With these, if you start over-watering it, like you'll start seeing this starts to get a little soggy.
Okay.
And like really weak. It'll start drooping a little
Okay.
too much. That's typically the signs that you see with these.
Overwatering.
For the overwatering.
But if you're underwatering, the leaves will droop.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you'll see it, so they're firm, and the ZZ typically has firm.
Yeah.
So overwatering, slight droop.
Yeah.
Underwatering, definite droop.
But
Yes. Okay.
with the overwatering, it'll start to
Sogginess.
Like which is typically like root rot that begins.
Actually, okay, so I have a question. Last summer I had a peace lily, Playboy, RIP Playboy. I'm still touched by that. Playboy left us, sometime last year. I dealt with like those flies,
Okay.
like the small little they're
Fungus
not
gnats.
mosquitoes,
They're
but
fungus
yo,
gnats.
them Jones. I was about to say something I couldn't say on TV.
Yeah.
But they were just mad annoying, and like that was something that I was really struggling with. I bought something on a fast service website that sells products,
Right.
That was specific for them. But
Yeah.
like, is there any way that like as it starts to get warmer, that I can fight.
Yeah, so definitely. So those are fungus gnats.
Okay.
And that happens most of the time when you have overwater.
Gotcha.
They want that moisture. They're gonna go wherever there's moisture.
Okay.
And those guys are just gonna keep coming. The first thing I always tell people, just let it dry out.
Okay.
If you can stand the gnats a little while longer, let this dry out as much as possible. But there's so many different like solutions out there for fungus gnats. The thing called diatomaceous earth that you can add to your soil.
Okay.
People use like peroxide, adding that into water and spraying
I
it.
saw that was something on YouTube. Like
Neem oil.
You can add neem oil, but more than anything, you want to dry
it out.
Yeah, because as long as it's moist.
What do you guys suggest about setting your plants outside to get like rainwater?
I mean, you run the risk of shocking it, for one, because they're used to being in a certain space.
Yeah.
So then when you sit it outside, depends on the conditions. I mean, I understand the rainwater, but you can just put your plant in the tub.
Okay.
Right?
And if you really want rainwater, you probably get a rainwater catcher.
And then use that.
Take that water.
Smart. Okay.
And then pour it.
So that actually might be how Playboy died. You know, I remember looking online and seeing some videos, and like, you know, one of the things I saw was like, sit your peace lilies outside and let it catch some rainwaters. But now that I think about it, after sitting it, like I might have sat it out once, and he ain't come back from that.
Yeah.
So, R.I.P. my dog, man.
Yeah.
So that's my man.
You could move them, but plants like to be still. In that way, if you like, you know, you're ruffling it. But just like the music, right? It's you're stimulating it, but you don't need to necessarily displace it outside for it to get the sun.
Okay.
Well, music actually does help plants. Give it like an hour or two a day. It stimulates it as if it was in its natural environment. So 1 to 2, maybe even 3 hours a day.
Really?
Yeah, if you stick to like a jazz, classical,
Yeah.
it actually does give it like its stimulation.
That's mad cool. That's fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I mean, well, look.
sound, water, the care. Do you talk to your ZZ?
No, maybe I should. You know, maybe
it
I
love.
should. Like, I need to now. Now that I think about it, all right, I think I will.
All right, so before we finish, just add a little moss.
Oh,
So
for
what
the
does
dressing.
this do?
2 things. It's really just, it's dressing, a little swag on it. And number
like
2
swag?
is it does keep it warm.
Okay. So just
So
tuck it.
yeah.
Yeah, just take it and you place it at the top. There.
Copy that.
And like you said, tuck it in.
So how did you guys get into like plants and stuff like that?
I would say for me, it was kind of, I guess what we call it, our pandemic pivot.
Same.
Pandemic pivot. I had always, enjoyed plants in my home, but, during the pandemic, I really decided to like get more into it, and then I saw that there's like actually jobs out there for it. So I pursued it, and from there, I'm here today. Not a lot of people were in the industry that look like me.
Yeah.
Other than Gerard. And there are more out there, but as far as I know.
Yeah.
So even when we met, it just made me feel like I was in the right place. And
really
for
cool.
us to be a representation of the industry that we're in.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Same with the representation piece. If I could get to that, I really started in the business to business side of it, sales, setting up business accounts, office beautification, interior design. That's where I started. And then I found, just like you, that when you're working for large corporations or corporations, you run into some attrition. So I decided to do it on my own terms. And so far, so good. We've grown and scaled pretty well. And I'm really happy with it, making my own schedule. And I realized,
Amen to that, brother.
thank you, representation is important. I didn't see that in the community that I had served in that side. And I felt like it's time to actually include that. It couldn't be another time. It has to be now.
I mean, I will say, like, I was never into plants.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? One thing about the pandemic, it shows you, when you're stuck in the home,
Right.
it shows you, like, hey, I want to make my home look as good as possible.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like, so I spent maybe 6 months staying with my father and my family right outside of Philly. Leaving New York and stuff like that, like, during the pandemic and stuff, and just be with, the fam. And the guest room that we stayed in had a peace lily in it. And for the longest time, I thought it was fake because, no one really uses the room like that. But it was still very green. And then one day, I touched it and I was like, oh, this is like a real live plant. So I was just like, you know what? All right, let me get him some water, whatever. I think within 2 to 3 weeks, started blooming flowers,
Right.
Wow.
everything. And I was just like, oh, snap. I didn't, he's alive, thriving.
Right.
I became very attached to this plant very fast. Started looking up stuff on, how to treat them and, stuff like that. He became a him. That was my roommate, I used to say.
Yeah.
So when I came back to New York, after, I was there for, like I said, about 6 months. I came back, to vote, actually. One of the first things I did was buy a plant.
Wow.
And that was kind of the start of me, just being into stuff like this. I go to, different supermarkets and stuff every week. I think we talked about before, just try to bring flowers to add to my space and stuff like that.
Right.
So, even, just having them around has definitely helped. And it does matter, just seeing,
Right.
brothers that look like me to ask questions and be like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing or,
Absolutely.
stuff like that. So, the fact that y'all doing this is really dope.
We appreciate that, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. That's really
course.
dope.
For
Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, so now that we have this,
Now that you have this,
these are,
these were actually watered really well.
Okay.
But what you're gonna do is in about a week or two from now,
Yep.
2 weeks from today,
okay.
give it a good soak down. I would take.
Is this mine?
That is yours.
That is yours.
Yes, that's yours.
I'm taking this home.
Yeah,
oh,
you take
snap.
it
Oh,
home.
man.
What was the name of your ZZ again?
So that's John. I gotta
Join this one. What's his name?
You know what? My other ZZ's John. I'm gonna name this one Bull. So we got John and Bull. So
Bull.
I don't know. Camera one, Bull. Bull. You can't see me, but Bull. Damn, man, that's love, man. I didn't know I was coming home with a thing. This is fire. All right, so in a week or so, just water it and.
And you have some time to keep us along with your journey.
Okay.
When it comes to the plan, we can help you on.
Oh no, I'm hitting y'all. Just know
All right.
that I'm doing that. Yo, thank y'all for having
Yeah, of
me,
course,
man.
of course,
This
man.
is-
Of course,
thank
man.
you. This is fire.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, so before we end, man, where can people find you?
So you can find me, at a local Brooklyn establishment. Hopefully this summer I can travel a lot more, in different places. Hopefully in the West Coast soon. I'm online. They'll probably put a lower third, Cory Towns everywhere. And man, I hope to play music for everybody soon. Hopefully y'all can come out to some of my stuff.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And
man.
I'm giving shout outs. I'm like, yo, man, y'all, how are the Good Ground Boys, man? They got something over here.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
So I feel like it's only right for us to take a shot.
Okay.
Just to continue growth in your career
Yep.
and with your new ZZ plant.
Appreciate that.
So we're gonna take a shot of the La Gratona tequila.
The Gator water.
Selected by Cory.
Yes, if you know, you know.
He calls it Gator water.
Gator water.
So I'm kind of worried.
No, don't be.
Before we take a toast, this Plant Sounds playlist was curated by Cory Towns. Hit the link below and check it out.
Hope y'all like it. Hey, man, listen, I want to say thank y'all for having me to episode 1 of episode 1 million. And to more brothers being involved in their plants worldwide. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Look him in the eye, look him in the eye.
Minar.
Gator water, boy. That thing banging. Again, thank y'all for having me, man. This is really dope. Thank y'all for the plant.
Let's do this.
What's up?
And I'm gonna be using that hotline soon for sure.
Yeah.